Happy weekend, everyone. How are you doing? What an amazing week we had in the market. I want to talk about Sofi, talk about Robinhood. Sofi obviously had their quarterlies this week. They were fantastic. I mean, it really could not have gone any better for realistically what we needed. And then this week, we're going to have Hood here release their quarterlies. And this is just going to be interesting because, I'm very much in the camp of things have changed here so much. It's really wild to see. Just if you've been obsessed with SoFi and you've been watching Hood here this year, but I'm very much in the camp of that. There could be a shift. There could be a huge shift here with SoFi and Hood, where Robinhood was much of the more popular stock this time last year, and especially much of the in 2025 here. Now things are shifting here a little bit. Now everyone's like, SoFi's changing things a little bit here. So I want to talk about that, compare, contrast, what's going on here. Which one of these companies should you be focusing on more? I cannot tell you how many people have left me comment. I mean, that has been like the number one comment I've seen here on just my two channels, plus just, looking at, just like stock twits, stuff like that. People are like, why is Robinhood so much more money compared to SoFi, and should I be focusing more on SoFi? So I thought that's a great question. Let's talk about it. And I think both these, and this is not dogging one of them out, I think both of these are fundamentally great investments for the future, 100%. But I do think going into 2026, I think there might be an opposite switch here. What's going to happen here? So, friends, I hope you're doing well. Let's dig into it right now. So you've got Robinhood is pretty much $150. It's $150, and it's a little more than that right now. But they will be reporting quarterlies here, and Robinhood. I'm just going to be honest with you. Robinhood is so expensive right now compared to what they're bringing out revenue wise. The stock really jumped up aggressively when they came out with that $1 billion quarterly at the beginning of the year here. That changed a lot of things here. Now Robinhood has pushed all the way to this 150 zone, and they have really got to put some meat on the table here to show that they can sustain this 150 zone. This isn't like a Palantir situation where Palantir's just been getting deal. I mean, just money is like pouring in like a waterfall. Hood here is growing very much in a growth cycle. Obviously, they announced a lot of stuff this year, what they're doing, trying to really maneuver themselves into a bank more and more. And obviously, the bread and butter of what they do, the workings of the company are, it's a trading app. And with that, they've done well. They continue to do well, but obviously trying to push into bank, crypto, all that kind of stuff. And then, you have SoFi here, who's just now getting to a $30 position, and it has been doing amazing with quarterlies. And there's an argument to say that their quarterly basis in structure wise is a lot stronger than what Hood is. So this is where the argument starts here with these two companies. And let's go into a revenue sheet right now. So you got SoFi on the left, you got Robinhood on the right. If you look at SoFi, this choo-choo train is going straight up here. I mean, this has been phenomenal. And the quarterly that we had here this week, Q3, was essentially cut down the middle at $950 million, okay? We're but $50 million from a $1 billion quarterly here. Okay, fantastic. Then you look over here on the right, and you've got Robinhood. Like I said, since that quarterly came out, three quarterlies ago, that was over $1 billion, just a hair over $1 billion. It's been just a feeding frenzy. It's just been going crazy. I mean, it's been just full of just nonstop action this year. Okay, Robinhood, I think, and please understand, this is not me dogging. If you're in Robinhood, I'm not trying to say negative things. I love Robinhood, and I think both these companies are going to really be a huge problem for other banks in the future. I really do mean that, because they are obviously, pushing into a futuristic banking system, and they're achieving it very much. But Robinhood here has become so expensive, I think it leaves a lot of us going like, I don't know, is the juice worth the squeeze for me to buy Robinhood here at $150? They're going to have to come out with a very aggressive quarterly here. Now, this is by no means to say they can't. They could come out with another, jaw-dropping quarterly here, but for this to really sustain this 150 or go into 160, 70, what I've seen out there, what people are saying, they're gonna have to come out with a very aggressive quarterly here. If not, it may just float around here to 130 to 150, and that might just be where it's at for a little bit until we see it get more aggressive with quarterlies. There's, I don't think a lot of people are going to argue about that. That's okay, especially people that were buying very early on in 2025 here. You're in a good spot. But the question is, has Robinhood become so expensive here? Now it's kind of like the revenue really has to catch up dramatically because, stock is so expensive at this point. Okay, so there's that argument. I've seen it out there, and I think it's what we're all looking at. We're all saying that right now. That's just a natural question and natural thought that everyone has here. Nothing wrong with that. Then you look at SoFi. SoFi here has been producing amazing quarterlies. They haven't missed, okay? Next quarterly, more than likely, is going to be in that $1 billion zone, maybe billion plus. Okay, fantastic. And honestly, the way they're reporting earnings right now, they're going to, if they continue on this train that they're on, $1 billion is but just a taste of what we're going to see here by Q4, because they're going to well be over that. They're decimating quarterlies right now. They're doing amazing. So there's a real argument right now that when we look at share price, this is why I've been saying this all year, where I think that SoFi has a great chance to start leapfrogging into amazing numbers here this coming year, because think about it this way. Think about this. Let's say by Q2 of 2026, imagine SoFi well into 1.5, $1.6 billion quarterlies. I'm really aggressive with that right now, I understand. But let's say it's somewhere close to that. That's what it's coming out with quarterlies. Okay? And Robinhood here is still coming out with $960 billion, just right over the cuff of $1 billion quarterly. That's going to be a huge red flag for a lot of people. I guarantee you're going to see some people go like, man, in Robinhood, maybe it's not moving stock-wise price. Maybe the stock is kind of like, turtled up here. It's slowed down quite a bit. You may see a shift. You may see people go like, I'm going to sell a good bit of my Robinhood. I'm going to move over to SoFi. I generally think that Robinhood is going to do amazing into the future. No doubt about it. It's here. It's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to find better revenue over time, 100%. My concern with Robinhood is much like what I've said about PayPal. PayPal is pretty much PayPal is in this corner where it's like, we're happy, we're good. Our quarterlies will steadily go up and down, but we've pretty much found our business model. We'll grab a few more fishies here and there. Okay, great. I don't know what the stock price is going to do off of that. It may not do. There's a lot more appetizing investments out there for investors. I think it's pretty clear cut. If somebody had $1,000 to put in the market and they had to choose between PayPal and SoFi, that's kindergarten stuff here. When we come to the conversation of Robinhood and SoFi, if I had to really guess which stock could be more aggressive in this year, I would say Robinhood, if it does not get more dramatic on its quarterlies, SoFi is going to take the lead here in 2026 with revenue, with really getting more aggressive in share price. I think that's really, really what we're looking at here. I really don't know why people would be confused about that. There's a lot of clues in front of us. That right there is investing, 100%. I always have people ask when people find out what I do. If I go somewhere, events, kids things, I got kids, so I go to like other kids things, and I'm always like, in a corner having to talk to another dad or something, and a family member, whatnot. They'll always ask me like, what do you have to do to invest? What do you do? And I'm like, well, you just take $5, $10. And they're like, no. Like, how do you know how to invest in companies? Generally what I say to people, and not that I'm some kind of guru, or I'm like, I'm fantastic at it. But things that help me with my brain in investing is clues. You've got to look for clues. You've got to look for future deals, growth that is happening, or deals that are taking place that we haven't seen growth from yet, or much like what we're looking at with Robinhood. The fact that Robinhood is 150 could be a problem for this quarterly coming up. Now, and that's the thing. If Robinhood just beats the expectation, well, that's great. But I think a lot of people at this point are going, Robinhood's $150. Like, it's really got to come out with an aggressive quarterly here to make the argument for this to be a $150 stock. There's a lot of people that probably agree with that. Maybe some that don't. That's totally fine. But we look at SoFi. SoFi is about to report $1 billion plus by Q4, and it's only $30. In the structure wise, it's a lot better. You've got to look for context clues, 100%. I would say there's a lot more meat on the bone with SoFi than Robinhood at this point. That's the argument. That's it right there. So when we talk about what is 2026 going to look like for maybe if you're wanting a deeper pocket for your investment, it's probably SoFi 100%. Here's the last argument I'll make about these two, and this may be an argument with a lot of people, but I love Robinhood. I love it. I can't say that enough. I use it trading. It's where essentially I got started with trading. It holds a piece of my heart to it. What I will say is that I think SoFi undoubtedly is going to pass by Robinhood here in the future with what. I think SoFi is going to pass by Robinhood. I really do. Because SoFi has been pushing into this narrative of becoming this structured banking system. And they have achieved it. They achieved it last year, and this year they sealed it in concrete 100%. And we've seen that. 2026 is going to be the year of massive growth for this company, with share price pushing into what they do more as a company. If someone's not excited about SoFi this coming year, man, you better hold on, because this thing could turn into an unbelievable freight train from hell, 100%. $30 right now, 6 months from now, we may be begging to buy this back at $30, because this may get aggressive real fast. So that's kind of my argument right there. And, looking at this chart right now with SoFi is essentially, I wouldn't become mad with this chart. SoFi is holding this level at $30, 28 maybe the worst, but essentially we're in the 30s, okay? There's no doubt that SoFi has all the proof and ammunition that it needs to push into deeper numbers. I don't think that $35, $40, $45, maybe by December, especially if we see this next rate cut show itself at the beginning of December, those are not going to be hard numbers to see, okay? The market is going to have another burst, more than likely. I don't think anyone, well, definitely there's people denying it, but the market's probably going to have one more burst. The S&P 500, for God's sakes, is 150 points away from 7,000. This has been the ultimate year here for growth. We're going to see SoFi continue to just do great here going in 2026. It could just kind of be like a rocket going in 2026. But two, there's adoption too with SoFi, with a lot of partnerships this coming year. The S&P 500, like I said, Q4. Imagine Q4 at the beginning of the year of 2026. The market's rolling. We see $1 billion plus quarterly. Oh my God. That's it. That is it right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's it right there. That's gonna be it right there. So yeah, I this is going to be a staple company for the next future generation of bank users, investors, all that kind of stuff. And there is such an expensive, untapped market that SoFi is building into right now, and that's the crypto market. They talked about that a lot this year. They're really pushing into that. It's a smart thing right now, because a lot of other bigger banks, They're talking about it. They're messing around with it. But SoFi's taking it really serious. And so is Robinhood, 100%. They're doing it too. But the thing that concerns me with Robinhood right now, it's very fat and bloated. And I like fat and bloated stocks 100% if I got in at the right time. But Robinhood here, I'm very concerned about it relating like it needs a dominant it needs it needs to come up with some money here, real good money for this next quarterly, a dominant quarterly. So yeah, friends, that's kind of my argument right now. It's not an argument, it's just like talking to a fellow investor. I'm not trying to make an argument, for God's sakes. I'm just trying to say, like, how do you feel about this? What are you seeing with this? This is kind of where I'm at with this. I think both these companies are great, but Robinhood has ran so much this year, and SoFi is just now starting to get the attention that it deserves. I would say probably in the last 3-4 months. We're at this place right now where SoFi could take the lead 100%. It could take the lead with the banking system. It could take the lead with revenue. It could take the lead with share price here by this time next year. That's something to really think about. That really is. Friends, take care of yourself. I will talk to you soon. I really do wish all of you the best of luck. Let me know what you think about these. And listen, if someone's like, well, maybe I should sell all my, I'm not trying to tell you to do anything crazy. I'm just saying that I'm concerned and I'm curious how good these quarterlies are going to be with Robinhood, because if these quarterlies are not enough to make people feel comfortable at holding Robinhood at these prices, it's going to be an issue. And it could get bogged down here with sell off. We've seen the banks here with the quarterlies do very well. Most of the banks have been doing very well with quarterlies, so there's no real evidence to say like Robinhood's going to have some problems here. I think the biggest problem that I can think of right now, like I've said, is that yes, they will probably come out with a really good quarterly, but is it going to be good enough to shock everyone to go like, okay, this is why it's $150. This is why. I think that's it right there. All right, I'm going to shut up. I wish all of you the best of luck. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.